2. Hey, everybody, welcome to another Rainmaker podcast. And today we got an amazing guest for you and my man, Andrew Kausler. And he's going to be showing you guys and talking about how he went from transitioning into business to writing 25 to 30K every single week. Andrew, my man, thanks so much for hopping on. Welcome to the Rainmaker podcast.
What's up, Arturo?
Yeah, man, it's
How you
good to
doing
have
this
you.
morning, man?
Yeah, man. So let's dive right in. How long have you been in the life insurance business? And
A little over 2 years, September 2021 is when I
awesome,
jumped in.
awesome. And how did you even get in the life insurance business in the first place?
So it's kind of funny, I was selling AT&T out of Target, cell phones, internet, and all that, and I was pretty good at it, but it just got to the point where it was getting old. We're celebrating $1,000 a week, $1,000 club. Looking back on that, that's crazy. But one day I just decided to call my buddy who I'd used to work with and was doing well, selling solar. So I'm sitting there in Target, on the job at that time, and talking to him. Hey man, you gonna get me in solar? He's like, yeah, we're real busy right now, but I'm about to transition to this life insurance thing. So I was like, I may want to look at that, and contacted, who he suggested to contact, and it made sense. So I just thought, man, I'm just going to people's homes. They put in a request for this, and just giving them what they want. I never really doubted I'd be able to do it. So I just jumped in, studied for the test really hard, made a 90 on the test, and just got going ASAP. Didn't have a choice. Left my
Yeah,
job, which may or may not have been a good decision to go all in like that.
yeah,
But
yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's funny that you say that because I did the same thing going to insurance. I just like burned the boats and went all in. It's like, no, dude, this is my ticket. Entrepreneur, I get to work for myself and this and that. And then whap. It's like, oh, okay. So this is commission. So if I don't sell anything, I don't make anything. So how was your first 90 days in the business?
first 90 days were, I was fighting to pay rent at that time. I remember, and it's kind of different when you just don't know. Like you don't know what you're capable of, if you can do this or not. But I've always been willing to bet on myself. At the end of the day, and you have to be when you're doing this. You can't bet on anybody else really to take care of you. But it was kind of tough. Um, I knew that I could do it, but I needed time to get better, and it's almost like I didn't have that time. But ended up, writing 20K months. A couple of those months, got a whole lot of help from my uplines. I'm in the business, Josh and Alondra.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I couldn't afford leads, they'd, buy me some leads, right? Never forget that. I'm loyal to them always. But I think, the first months were tough, but I surrounded myself. I made sure to build good relationships with people who could help me get to where I wanted to go. And that ended up being a very good decision because
Yeah,
those people absolutely helped me. Got to have people in life, man.
yeah, for sure. Well, man, how did you even come across AJC anyways?
So I was actually talking to one of my friends in the business. He does another um, veteran leads, right? And I talked to the guy, and just kind of told him, my story. And he seemed like a nice guy, of course, but at the same time, it didn't really sound like he necessarily. I'm not gonna say like anybody needs me, but like he just was like, yeah, I don't care if you come over, or not. So, man, I was just like, I don't know about this guy. So I'd heard about, yourself. He was honestly trying to sell against you. But when I heard, some of the details about your system
Mm-hmm.
versus his, when he's telling me, hey, it's like $400 a month, I look at that as not a good deal. I'm like, why is this dude saying his stuff's are only worth $400 a month,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I wanted to look into things that seemed more promising. Somebody who knew that knew what they were worth, and I could be able to take advantage of that because it's not hard to take an ROI in life insurance and shoot it up there. The more you pay, the more you're going to get out of it. Of course, most of the time. So
Yeah.
through that guy, for the most part, he told me about your program, all about it. So
Yeah, for sure. And you said something interesting before when we talked, so I want you to kind of expound on that because doing a something similar on the outside, but the price is different, right? Because the stuff that we offer is a minimum of 8 to 10 grand a month to be able to use some of that stuff, which is expensive. You're looking at 2 grand a week to $2,500 a week, and the average agent can't afford that, right?
right,
But if you're trying to get to that 50 to 100K per month level, you got to be willing to spend 20% of what you're looking to make, right? As long as you can make the ROI, like you said, and you said you can run up the ROI in the insurance business. So, what was that difference maker, right? Because the price is different. Why you chose to select going with us as opposed to the other person. Like, there's nothing wrong with it, but I'm just curious on what your point of view was when you looked at the price versus the value.
because the standard for what's good within those programs was too low for me. I'm not saying 250K issue paid a year is bad, but for me, if I was at 250K right now, I would feel awful because I know I can do better than that, and I wasn't living up to my own personal standards, and the people there were living up to their own standards, which weren't even as good as what I didn't want to do, or weren't even as good as what I was already doing, right? And I wanted more, and there were people within your agency or within people using your system that were doing very well, that were already where I wanted to be at the end of the year. And it was in like October whenever I really first started looking into this. So, yeah, yeah, man.
Yeah.
Does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah, it makes sense because I'm thinking like if you're an agent and there's another agent that either has a side hustle that is doing well and the system works, but the results that they get or their clients aren't better or like where you are, right? Then it's like, okay, well that's great, but like you're the sum of the five people closest to you. And so if you're the biggest fish, in the pond, then you need another pond, basically. And so when you're saying, okay, there are other people who are, hitting Hall of Fame in August, September, right? Kevin Alexander doing it in 6 months, right? Writing over 1.2 million in 12 months, things like that. You want to get in that room. And again, there's a saying that we use in our company, which is a good tree can't bear bad fruit. So then it sounds like, you said you had, done some of those numbers on your own. So then you just run to raise your standard and run with the big dogs, man. And I think that sometimes insurance agents shortchange themselves by seeing how they can spend the minimum, right, and get the maximum out. And you're saying you're willing to bet on yourself. So if you're saying you're willing to bet on yourself, then you got to take all your chips and you got to put them in the middle. And that's one of the things that I liked about you. And when I talked to you, I said, I'm going to bet on you too, because I believe that if you got in this program, you could do some amazing things. And that's what you've been able to do. And so we're transitioning and talking about that. So let's talk about what the first 3 weeks of being in the program, what it's been like connecting with us, the community, Jack, and then we'll talk about what kind of quality and the type of production you've been able to submit in just a short period of time.
Yeah. Okay. First, kind of touch on when you said about agents not wanting to spend a lot of money. I mean, anybody who's out there who feels that way, you know, if you're skeptical, you're right to be skeptical, right? Anybody who's ever done well, anybody hitting the Hall of Fame was skeptical coming into this. Elon Musk was skeptical with a lot of decisions he made, sure, but look at him now, right? So you
Mm-hmm.
have to gamble. You have to take chances if you're going to be successful. And that's what successful people do. Um, as far as first 3 weeks, dude, that was awesome. I mean, y'all were so helpful along the way. I definitely made sure to ask questions anytime I start anything. I'm not worried about bugging whoever can help me get where I want to go with a million questions. But so yeah, just overall, the leads were just so much better, and yeah, I knew I was a hustler already. Um, you bet on me coming into this a little differently than you let people into the system sometimes, just kind of on a week to week basis, betting I'm gonna make back what I put in, and I wanted to come through on that, not just for myself, obviously there, but for you as well. Jack's helping me so much. Man, he did things I never knew were possible with call tools, some of the systems I use, and he's just made this easy. Like I tell people, this is, I don't want to say easy, but dude, it's easy almost, you know. And
Yeah.
3 weeks in, I've submitted a little over 70K, and my standards have gone back to, if I'm not writing 3K in a day, then I'm not happy.
Yeah. So what's that like to say, that you bet on yourself and in 3 weeks time you already exceeded what your standards was, and now you're like raising the bar. It's like, dude, I got 100 grand and that I need in order to hit Hall of Fame, and I'm think I'm gonna hit that and some. You know what I'm saying? Like I just need to keep my head down and focus, right, and just keep grinding, like we talked about before. But what's that like to know that the future's bright ahead of you, and the only thing you got to do is put the work in. The leads are there, the system, the quality of the people that you're talking to, the opportunities there, and the only thing you got to do is put in the work.
It's cool to know that I don't have a standard for myself anymore. That I'm I'm still creating it, right? I don't know what I have no idea what I can do in a year here. Right? 600K, 700K. I told Josh upline, I said, dude, I'm doing 700K next year, issue paid, easy. Well, not easy, but I'm able to. I know I'm talented enough to do that, and I'm going to put in the work to do that. So, I mean, it just feels good, honestly, to answer your question, to not be worried about writing 20K a month or below the standards that I had for myself, because I hated that, man. That hurt me to the core. Whenever I felt like I was letting people down, I knew I was letting myself down, but worst feeling ever is letting people who helped you down. You
Yeah.
know, um, the fact that I'm able to do that and more, I mean, it's cool, man.
Yeah.
I like being able to be an asset to people who have helped me get where I want to go,
Yeah, for
and
sure,
that's
man.
exactly I like this podcast helping
Yeah,
me.
for sure. And so again, I want to just give you flowers now that I'm proud of you, man, because we I didn't know you that well, but now looking back at it, when we talked, I wasn't talking to the Andrew that I was on the call with. I was talking to this Andrew, right? Because, you know, I kind of pissed you off, what I mean, telling you a couple things, but I wanted to challenge you into thinking bigger and expecting more from yourself. And man, did you not over deliver? I can't believe that 70K, in this short period of time, man. So, not I've never heard anybody else say also that, that they don't have a standard right now because they don't even know what's possible. And now it's like, having that optimism and enthusiasm, they're like, there's no goals that you can't achieve. There's no reason why you shouldn't hit every single target that you have and be one of the top producers where people are calling you, asking you, coach them up. Can they join your team? You speaking on, these platforms and getting all the accolades with the skill set and the work ethic that you have. And so the only other thing that I would say is keep the hunger. Don't let the success smother the hunger, because that's what happens to most champions after they win the belt. You know what I'm saying?
It's fun to do more. I enjoy that aspect of things. Seeing, oh, I did this. That's not enough. I want to do more. The more I do, the more I want to do more.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I guess my last question is what I always wrap up, because you people, you've been on the outside looking in just not too long ago, where you're doing your research back in October, where you're seeing the numbers and you're seeing the testimonials and you're seeing the marketing and the content stuff that's savvy online. And like you said, there's a people have a right to be skeptical when they hear these types of numbers. But there's a difference between skepticism and negativism, which means skepticism is I don't know you, so I don't trust you until you prove what you're saying is true, which we've established. So skepticism is natural, but negativism means that I have my mind made up and I don't want to be confused with the facts, right? And so many times, just because people, and especially agents, they don't believe that this works, so then they're really saying they just don't believe that it works for them. So I say all that to say, now with you, being on the outside and being skeptical and now using this and getting to 70K, when agents are watching this and they're kind of on the fence or skeptical about trying something, is Arturo the real deal, or is this too good to be true? What would you say to that whole idea of this being too good to be true?
You know, kind of like I said before, I mean, you'd be crazy not to be thinking something's too good to be true, but you don't like what you're doing at that moment. And again, you're never going to get anywhere if you don't gamble. Reach out to people. Reach out to people who are doing it. Hell, I don't. Within any agency, you can go to, you can go look up people's numbers and see where they're at for the year. And I do that all the time, man. Anytime somebody's out there going on giving advice and stuff, I get on the page right then and there. What's their numbers? And you can do that with a lot of people. And so reach out to people, network. Like I said, you gotta bet on something at some point. Leads are, you gotta pay for leads anywhere. So why not try, right? Because I
Yeah.
swear I knew from the start that this was real. You know,
Yeah, when you see the people in your agency and you see Ty Hausberger and Jerry Fino and Dave Witchard and Jack Yu and Trey Honeycutt, right? See John Wetmore around this program. I mean, those guys aren't going to be around something that goes against what they're doing. They're not going to be around something that's not helping uh, pull in a culture of top producers, right? Kevin Alexander. So, you know, again, if you're the sum of the five people that you're closest to, so if you want to be in the big time group, you need to start hanging around with the big time guys and using the system that they're doing, because that's the only difference. Is Andrew before didn't have the big boy system, and now he does, and now Andrew is one of the big boys, right? So again, man, thank you so much. I'm definitely proud of you for digging in and really just unlocking with that one tweak of just getting the system dialed in. And again, you're still just brand new with this, so it's crazy to see
that's
what
what's
the next
fun.
90 days to look at, right?
I don't even understand all this CRMs, and I don't even understand the stuff I do, honestly. And I'm still learning. That's what's so fun about this. I haven't invested the full amount that I'm going to invest in it, so I'm just so excited. More and more and more, man.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hey man, again, it's the reason we have these podcasts is to share the journeys and the truth about what is possible if life insurance agents can get their mindset, their skill set, and then pay for the tool set to unlock their unlimited potential. And you, my friend, are officially a rainmaker. So thank you for being on the Rainmaker podcast.
You bet, Arturo. I enjoyed it, man.
Awesome. But hey, guys, go ahead and click the link in this description if you would like to book a call with somebody on our team or myself, or like this video if you found it valuable. And again, thank you guys for hopping on the Rainmaker podcast.